What's up, everyone? Welcome back to King Anime Review, and for this video, I'll be giving you the top 10 most overrated anime slash manga ever. And this video was voted on by people who tuned into one of my premieres and voted in a poll on one of my premieres. So if you guys want to vote on future videos that I do, make sure you tune into the premieres of my videos and vote on polls anytime I have a video premiere. Now, let's get into a couple disclaimers really quick. Firstly, every anime on this list are held in too high of a regard. That's what it means to be overrated, being held in too high of a regard. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad anime or bad series. It just means that they are held in too high of a regard, and that's why they're on this list. Now, the second disclaimer and the final disclaimer is I don't have to watch every episode of an anime or read every chapter of a manga to know that it's poorly written or to say it's overrated. Because, you know, the foundation is the most important thing of any series. Like, if it has a bad start, you know, that's automatically, you can automatically say it's overrated just simply based off of that, because the foundation is what is built upon. You know, the first couple episodes, everything is built on that's what happens in the first couple episodes. Everything is built upon that. So if it has a bad foundation, it's most likely a bad series. And people don't have to waste, you know, hundreds of hours of their lives watching something that has a bad start, something that has a bad or boring, slow-paced 5 to 10 episodes or whatever. You don't have to watch every single episode to know that it's a overrated series if it already has a bad start slash bad foundation. Of course, things can improve over time, but, you know, if it has a bad start, that's automatically a bad sign. You don't have to watch every episode. You don't have to watch 300 episodes, 200 episodes. It's really just a waste of time at that point. If the series has a bad foundation, it's already, you know, that's already a bad thing within and of itself. Now, and the reason I say that is because it's a lot of hypocritical people out there who would say, "Oh, well, if you're not up to date with the series, you can't talk about it, or you can't have an opinion on it, or you can't say anything about it. You can't criticize it because you're not up to date." That makes literally no sense. You don't have to be up to date with something to criticize it. You don't have to, for example, you don't have to watch every Star Wars movie to say, "Yeah, Star Wars franchise is pretty bad." You know, you can just watch one movie and say, "Yeah, this is a pretty bad concept, pretty bad, you know, execution, pretty bad foundation, etc." Now, yeah, and the reason I call those people hypocrites is because a lot of those people make those type of claims. Like, if you criticize one of these anime that's on this list, a lot of people, they'll say, "Oh, well, have you watched every episode, or have you read every chapter?" And the crazy thing about that is that these are the same people who say something like, "Oh, Boruto's trash," or "Dragon Ball Super's trash," and you know goodness well they haven't watched every episode of Boruto and they haven't read every chapter of Boruto or, you know, Dragon Ball Super, for example. Now, with that being said, that's it for the disclaimers. Let's get into the list. Now, first, starting off with some dishonorable mentions. And yes, it is dishonorable because being on this list is obviously not an honor. Now, the dishonorable mentions is Tower of God and Berserk. Tower of God was decent. It had some good moments here and there from like the 12 or so episodes I watched. It was decent, but people was overhyping it like it was one of the greatest, you know, anime that to ever exist or whatever. No, it's not. The character development is nowhere near as great as a lot of other anime that's top tier anime, like Naruto, for example. Naruto had fantastic character development within just like the first, you know, 5 to 10 episodes. Naruto already had great character development. Some people was actually claiming that was better than Naruto or other top tier anime. Ridiculous. It had some decent moments here and there. It was kind of lacking when it came to character development. It wasn't paced. The pacing wasn't really that good, but overall it was pretty decent. Berserk is an anime slash manga series that I've seen hyped up a lot. A lot of people claim it's one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, and I guarantee you it isn't. But the biggest reason why Berserk is very overrated is because a lot of people claim that it's flawless or perfect, and there's only one thing that's flawless and perfect, and that's God. Literally nothing else on this planet is flawless or perfect. You know, human beings have flaws. Therefore, anything that human beings create will by default have flaws. Nothing is flawless. Nothing is perfect. And it's a huge, massive amount of people who claim Berserk is perfect and flawless, which is absolutely wrong. That's a lie. And yeah, that's why Berserk is extremely overrated. And that's why it's, you know, a dishonorable mention. I probably would have put this like probably number 1 or 2 on this list, but the only reason I didn't put it on the list is because I really haven't watched that much of it. But what I will say is I have seen a lot of people running around claiming that it's perfect, but it's not. With that being said, let's get into the top 10. So starting off with number 10, God of High School. This is another anime just like Tower of God that had a lot of hype around it. A lot of people was hyping it up and acting like it was extremely great, and a lot of people just overhyping it, and it didn't live up to the hype. I think I watched about half of the first season. It really was a very, like, just random anime. That's the best way I can describe it. Just one episode that we're doing one thing, the next episode they're doing something else that's completely, not related to anything that's going on. One episode they're having a wedding, one episode they're doing some other random stuff that has, just completely random. Very, very ridiculously just bad. I wouldn't say bad, but based on what I've seen of it, not good at all, and it was definitely very, very overhyped. Now, moving on to number 9. This is an anime that I've seen the entirety of. This anime, I've watched literally every single episode of it, start to finish, and number 9 is Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, this anime is very, very overrated. A lot of people act like this is like some type of perfect anime, like it has no flaws and it's one of the greatest of all time. No. Some people say the Dark Tournament arc is one of the best tournament arcs ever. No. It's just simply like it's overrated. A lot of people hold this in way too high of a regard. And yeah, even though I would say it's a pretty good show. Like I would say it was a pretty decent anime. Yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, it's overrated. It's not. First of all, that tournament arc that they had, definitely nowhere near as great as other tournament arcs that I've seen in other anime. Even My Hero Academia has a better tournament arc than that. Black Clover has a better tournament arc than that. Obviously, Naruto has the greatest tournament arc ever with the tuning exams. Like overall, it just wasn't. It was decent. It was a decent show overall. I would say it was decent. Yeah. Anyways, number 8. Moving on to number 8, Jujutsu Kaisen. I've watched about 13 episodes of this anime. I've watched about 13 episodes. I got all the way to the point where Yuji met that one kid with the black hair, and yeah, I haven't watched it in a very, very. I haven't watched it in a decent amount of time, but yeah, that's the point that I pretty much stopped with it. It had a nice start. It had a really nice start. I liked the first episode of it. It was pretty good. But overall, it just it got pretty boring. It had basically no character development in the first 13 episodes that I watched. And some people might say, oh, it's only first 13 episodes or whatever. Naruto had great character development in the first 13 episodes of the anime. Like Naruto, when he stabbed his hand, going to the land of waves, and he made that vow to himself that he would never run away again or whatever. That was great character development. And then he, that's what he said, because previously he was scared. He was scared to fight. And then later on, during that arc, he showed that wasn't the case anymore, so he stays true to his vow. He made that vow. Obviously, he changed and got character development. Within the first, 10 episodes in anime, Naruto already had pretty good character development. You can't say the same thing for Yuji. And overall, I like it, but it is pretty, it's not that good. It's not as good as people hype it up to be. And it's way more popular than it should be. It's nowhere near. Some people think this is one of the greatest anime of this generation from Weekly Shonen Jump. No, Black Clover and My Hero Academia are way better. And you might say, oh, well, you only watched the first 13 episodes. Even if I compare the first, 10 episodes of Black Clover to Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover wins hands down. That episode where Noelle got introduced, way better than any episode in any of those first 13 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen. Noelle had great character development within the first couple episodes. So, yeah. And also, My Hero Academia was better at the start. It was better at introducing its cast of characters. Jujutsu Kaisen, they introduced these characters. They randomly introduced these characters. I mean, whatever. It was decent from the start of it, but like I said, it's not it's not My Hero and Black Clover levels. Now, moving on to number 7, Gintama. This is nothing more than a parody anime that tries to be serious at some points. It's an anime that constantly breaks the fourth wall, and then it tries to go back to being serious. The premise of it, just very, very overall terrible anime. You can't have this is a flip-flop anime. This is the definition of a flip-flop anime. Literally 1 second they're trying to do some parody stuff and acting like they're trying to parody other series, and then the next second they're going back to being serious. Get out of here with that flip-flop nonsense. One of the worst anime of all time. Yes, I said it. Gintama is one of the worst anime of all time. One of the worst anime/manga of all time, period. Now, moving on to Rurouni Kenshin, which is number 6. Number 6 is Rurouni Kenshin. This is also one of the worst anime of all time, and some people act like this is one of the best anime of all time, which is absolutely hilarious. I gave this anime a way bigger chance than I gave many other anime. I watched 20 episodes of this anime. 20. I watched about 20 episodes of this anime, and it was so slow-paced and boring. I was just wondering the whole time, when are we going to get to the point? They're just boring stuff, slow-paced, extremely slow-paced. There was literally no main plot throughout the first 20 episodes. No main villain, no main plot, no main goal that the characters were striving to. Nothing. Literally nothing. Literally. First 20 episodes is the most boring, slow-paced episodes of any TV show I've ever watched, ever. Next up, moving on to number 5, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now, this anime was pretty decent. I would probably even say probably slightly good. And I've watched every single episode of this anime, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I like the story of it, the two brothers going on a journey to get their bodies back to how they were before that whole experiment that they did. And yeah, I like the goals of the characters. The fights were decent in the series. The overall story and the characters striving to get their goals, to achieve their goals, that stuff was good. The pacing was decent. I've seen a lot worse when it comes to pacing. The pacing was decent. It's not good pacing by any means. It was decent. The character development is lacking in this anime. Like, maybe it might have slight amounts of character development, but it's really lacking in this anime. And the main villain of this anime is absolutely terrible, the main villain of the anime. And yeah, the fact that it was only one main villain of the entire series is actually makes it worse, because the one and only main villain of the entire series was not a good villain at all. Of course, he had some henchmen and some, weaker villains working for him, but the one main villain of the entire series was pretty bad, a pretty bad villain. And yet people act like this is some perfect anime. No, with a villain like that, this is nowhere near perfect. And I already explained why, nothing is perfect aside from God. But yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood / Fullmetal Alchemist in general is the 5th most overrated anime / manga of all time. Now, anyways, moving on to number 4, another very, very overrated anime that people act like is perfect, and that's Honorary Song. This anime has several flaws. It has terrible pacing at some points, and I've watched most of this anime. I've watched all the way until the Chimera Ant arc, and I've watched a decent amount of the Chimera Ant arc. I haven't finished that arc, and I don't really plan on going back and watching it, because that arc has some of the most slow. That arc has some Ronin Attention level pacing problems. Some of the most boring, slow-paced episodes that I've seen in really any other show. Because it's literally like, some points of the show, you literally have characters having an internal monologue for like 5 straight minutes. Like everybody's moving in slow motion, and then characters are thinking, and then you just have characters thinking for like 5 minutes, or you have the narrator narrating for like 5 minutes, and characters are moving in slow motion and stuff. Get out of here with that slow-paced nonsense. You really think I'm going to sit through 10 episodes of that? No. First of all, Miriam wasn't a good villain. Very, very overrated. The guy, he's literally evil for the sake of being evil. A very one-dimensional villain. His only goal was to eat people. Crollo was decent. The York New City arc was the best arc in Hunter x Hunter. Kurapika had great. I'll say Kurapika was good. I ain't gonna say great. I'll say Kurapika was pretty good. Had some good character development from what I remember. It's been it's been years. Literally, it's been years since I've binge watched Hunter x Hunter. I probably watched an episode here and there, but it's been about probably a couple years since I actually binge watched Hunter x Hunter. But yeah, that video game arc, the Greed Island arc, that arc was that was some of the most slow paced stuff I've ever seen. Like, that arc was very, very slow paced, very boring, and the villain in that arc was terrible, garbage villain. Anyways, moving on to number 3, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is another ridiculously overrated anime. Very, very, very overrated. And yeah, it's a very overrated anime. I watched about 20 episodes of part 1. It started off okay. It had an okay start when Dio was stealing Jonathan's girlfriend, and yeah, he stole his girlfriend. He killed his dog or something like that. He was doing some pretty evil things. But he was kind of somewhat. It was somewhat funny at the beginning, but then it just started going downhill when Dio started to, when he got that vampire mask, and then it was just taking a very long time for the next time you seen him, and then it was just some very, very slow paced and boring stuff. And that power system is pretty garbage. Hamon, pretty garbage. It took them a decent amount of time before they even introduced the power system. Ridiculous. It's supposed to be a fighting series, a battle shonen, right? And it took them like 10, 20 episodes to introduce the power system. Ridiculous. Story was overall slow paced and boring, so I didn't bother. I'm not gonna go back and watch it at all. I have no desire of going back and watching it. Anyways, moving on to number 2, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. I've watched about 13 episodes of this anime, and I gave this anime a couple chances. I watched it one time, I watched about 10 episodes one time, and I was like, nah, this is just getting. First of all, it was cringy. This is like, I'll actually describe this anime as actually cringy. Like, where you just, first of all, the guy Zenitsu, the guy with the lightning style, I mean, he has lightning powers and he has a sword and stuff. And you know what I'm talking about, Zenitsu. One of the most annoying characters I have ever seen in any anime, period. This guy was literally begging, screaming, crying. Bro, people was complaining about Asta at the start of Black Clover. Bro, Zenitsu was like a trillion times worse than Asta was at the start of Black Clover. And by the way, I don't even think Black Clover, well, first of all, I watched the English dub of Black Clover at the start of it. So I don't know what people was talking about Asta yelling too much. He was yelling, but like he was yelling here and there, but it wasn't as excessive as people made it seem. But this guy Zenitsu, like literally 24/7, this guy is running around, constantly constantly just running around, crying, begging, pleading, being extremely loud, screaming off the top. Bro, ridiculous. One of the most annoying characters I have ever seen, period. Also, Demon Slayer, let me give you a quick little, like I said, I watched about the first 13 episodes, which is like half of the first season. Let me give you a quick little recap and why I think it's absolutely, and by the way, Demon Slayer, not only is it overrated, I would probably even say it's close to being bad. It's like, at most, probably mediocre at most. I mean, and the art and animation is great for the anime, but the story, no. The story's like low tier. At most, you can probably say it's mediocre. At most. Like, at most, it might be a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 at most. But anyways, yeah, so, bro, this is literally a monster of a day type of story. I do not like it at all. Like, bro, literally just, no. It was kind of boring. Just going around fighting different a new demon every episode. Like every episode we get a new demon. The demon slayers beat him in one episode. Yeah, pretty boring. Pretty boring stuff overall. Yeah, and on top of that, it just had cringy characters. Plus, it has a dumb power system that was literally never explained. That whole water breathing stuff, literally never explained how that came about. Now, moving on to number one. The number one most overrated anime/manga series of all time is One Piece, or as I like to call it, Mid Piece, because it's mid. It's a mediocre series. I would say it's like a 6 to a 7 out of 10 at most. At most, a 6 to a 7 out of 10. And I actually like One Piece, but I like certain things about it. I don't like it as a whole, but I like certain things about it. I like the adventure aspect of it. I like traveling. I like the idea of traveling to different islands, characters traveling to different islands and pursuing their goals. That's cool. The problem with it is very, very repetitive and very, very slow paced. And the power system is absolutely garbage. First of all, literally all you have to do to get a power in One Piece, all you have to do to get power in One Piece is eat a fruit. Literally. That is like, bro, there's no need to train at all. Literally, all you have to do is find a random fruit and eat it. And if you get an OP fruit, then that makes you way stronger than a lot of other characters in the series by default. Like, if you end up eating a overpowered fruit, by default, you're stronger than a lot of characters in the series. Like, what's the most powerful devil? You guys get my point. Power system, complete trash. Literally, all you have to do is eat a fruit to get a power. And then on top of that, very, very repetitive. I mean, it follows the same story structure, the same format. Straw Hats go to an island. They find out the island has been terrorized by a villain. They split up. Zoro gets lost. Pretty much happens in every arc. Zoro gets lost. Straw Hats split up. They find out the island's been terrorized by a villain. They meet some new friends. They save their new friends. They beat the villain, and they move on to the next island and do the same thing. That's basically like 90% of One Piece. That at least 80 to 90% of One Piece, they're doing that exact thing that I just said. That exact list of things. Very, very repetitive story. And very, very overrated. Some people actually think this is the best anime/manga of all time. Get out of here. This is not even like top 10. This One Piece is not even top 10 best anime and manga of all time. But anyways, with all of that being said, those are the top 10 most overrated anime/manga of all time. If you guys like the video, please drop a like. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and clicking that channel notification bell to be notified on all of my future videos. And yeah, and drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section below. And share the video all over the internet. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. Every promise I've been praying for.